What's up, guys? Welcome back again to another and actually our final 24-25 squad review, where we're jumping into a tier list. We're rating all these players in these different position groups into our tier list, seeing who had great seasons, who had bad seasons, all that good stuff. So if you remember the first video in part one, which we released a couple weeks ago, we did our goalkeeping and defensive group. And then in our second week, we did our midfielder group. And then our third week, which is now, we are doing our forward group. So basically what we're doing is we're looking at 5 categories, and we're grading these players off their seasons and filtering them into that. And lastly, which is in our video today, we're actually going to choose who is our player of the season personally. Who is, after like all the stuff we've done, all the games we've watched, all the games we've simmed in FC25 over our season sims, who is our player of the season for Chelsea Football Club in the 24-25 season. So let's go ahead and hop over and do that. Okay, guys, so you see here we're on Tier Maker, and they had this tier list which we're making. We adjusted the categories, and just to review, we have Player of the Season, we have Solid, we have Okay, Bad, and NA. So Player of the Season are candidates, and that's who we're going to decide off of who was our best performer this year. And Solid is like, couldn't ask much more of, very happy with. Okay is weren't great, weren't terrible. Bad is they were terrible. And then NA is basically they didn't play for us or they didn't play enough. So let's go ahead and hop straight into this with our forward group. And let me tell you, this is a funky, weird forward group with way too many jerseys going on down here in this ribbon. We got Lukaku, who on earth knows why he made it onto this pre-made 24-25 list, because he was gone, thankfully. But let's go ahead and start us off now. So, Mykhailo Mudryk. What to do with this man? I'm so bummed by this. I never was thinking he is the next coming of who knows what for us, but he was getting maybe his feet under himself lately, and then he got a drug ban. Here's the bottom line. I'm going to put him in bad for now. Hear me out. You guys definitely, if you're watching this video, definitely know who Joey Knight is. He talks about this because he has a lot of expertise in this area of testing, because he's a boxer, all this really good stuff. So he has a lot of good knowledge about this, and I really agree with what his point is. The bottom line is whether or not something is in your system, whether or not you meant for it to be or not, when you're an athlete especially, you are responsible for what you intake, because you have to know this is possible. And I'm not saying nobody makes mistakes. I make many mistakes, right? We have to have grace for people, absolutely. But from a sporting side of things, I hope he comes out as innocent. But even if he is innocent from a like he didn't choose to do it type of way, he's still responsible for knowing what he's consuming. So I'm putting him in bad because even when he was playing, he wouldn't be anything more than okay for me. And because he's probably never going to play for Chelsea again, I'm putting him in bad because that's based off decisions. So he's going in bad for me. Next, we got our boy Raz, Chelsea legend. I feel bad for the guy. I honestly feel bad for the guy. He went to Arsenal, didn't score a single goal in the Premier League, scored in like the FA Cup, I think. Got some assists, but he is a shadow of himself. I don't really know what is going on with the guy. Like I said, I feel bad for him. From what I understand, he's a very good professional, family guy, good in the locker room. I think he needs to leave, though. I think he does need to leave. I think he might need to leave the Premier League. I don't know if he'd want to. He's been in it, right, his entire career. But I think he could benefit from going to a different league, because I know not everybody wants to go play in Saudi Arabia. But maybe, I don't know if he could go to a struggling Serie A team like an AC Milan especially with them trying to offload Leao, maybe a fit there. I don't know. I think he needs to leave. He needs a fresh start away from EPL football, in my opinion. Next, we have Nani. And the wingers are interesting for me. Sancho isn't on here, which is annoying. Sancho would actually be in solid for me, believe it or not, even though he's gone. Nani would probably also be close to solid for me. But I think I'm going to put him in okay. There's still more to come from him, I think. I think there's still room to grow. I don't want us to sell him at all. But I think his output needs to be more consistent, because we have to keep in mind, I do think that his stats this year were slightly buffed by his hat trick against, who was that, Wolves. So if you know, and I know it's stupid to say take away a hat trick, that's dumb, but I'm just saying that those don't happen frequently, and they did happen this year. So if you take away a normal game like that, let's say just give him 1 goal in that game, his output drops rather drastically. So I think he's okay. I'm not saying he had a bad season at all. I'm just saying I don't think he was solid. Might not even be the best term I should have chosen here. Solid, I'm saying, is very good for this season. Because there's only that and then player of the season. So I'm putting him in okay, and that's not at all a dig at him. Nico Jackson borders okay to bad for me this year, and the reason for that is because he's so belligerent at times. The amount of cards he gets and the amount of bad decisions he makes really bothers me, and those things make me want to put him in bad, because he almost ruined our Champions League run at the end of the season by getting a dumb red card. I don't really, guys, go rewatch my video about that, which I think that was the video after the Newcastle preview. He looks at the guy, turns, and then elbows him. You can't say he wasn't guilty there. That makes me want to put him in bad, but he still had double-digit scores, like goal scoring, had some assists. He makes Cole better. We know that to be the case. I'm tempted to I feel like I'm going to put him in okay, because there are more bads coming. Okay, so I'm going to put him in okay. But like I said, because of his decision making and the lack of progression from last year, I'm tempted to do bad, but we're going to do okay for now. And Nkunku goes in bad. Do we need to conversate about it that much? I don't think so. Super poor for me. Expectations were, beyond the roof, and he's been below the floor. Like the only goals meaningful amount of contributions he had were from playing teams like FC Noah and the Conference League. For me, I don't know if it's maybe just his play style. He seemed so lackadaisical during a period of his career where he needs to be battling to prove that he's worth a spot in the squad. There's no place for him except bad. Armando Broja. For a while now, since probably the beginning of last year, I'm worried about his career trajectory. He goes in NA, obviously. Same with David Datro Fofana. He didn't play for us. I'm worried about him. I think he needs another loan. And I know people are going to say he needs to be sold. Guys, we're not making peas for him if we try to sell him right now. He's injured all the time. He doesn't even score that much anymore since that 6-goal season, Southampton, I think it was. He needs a season where he's not injured and where he scores at least 7-8 plus goals for him to get any kind of return. And I'm aware that he's an academy player, so anything's plus, but I don't think it makes sense to sell. I think you want to loan him again. Maybe loan him to a different kind of league. I don't know if you loan him to a German Bundesliga team or something like that. Anyway, neither of them obviously are going to get a grade here. Next, we only have 2 more, and then we're done with our squad review. Like I said, Sancho isn't in that. If we had Sancho, he'd be going straight up here to solid for me. Which most of you probably say okay. I was kind of a Sancho stan this whole year because I think he was kind of underrated. Mark Yu is going in okay. He's going in okay for me. He was injured for a large period of the season, but he was amazing in the Conference League. Like 6 goals and 7. I'm actually going to put him in solid. And I'm not saying that he's as good as any of those other solid players. The reason I'm putting him in solid is because his age, his lack of experience, yet his willingness to run, his willingness to be physical with players. I think he has such potential ahead of him. I think 6 goals in 7 or 8 appearances in the Conference League is wonderful, no matter the competition for a young player like that. I was very pleased with him. And lastly, Pedro Neto. Signed him for, what was it, $60 million from Wolves. He's definitely good. Probably solid for me. The reason for that, guys, above Nani, a couple things. There was never a single time I questioned Pedro Neto's commitment to the team and commitment to the team no matter the game. The flipped switch in the Fulham game, many other moments, he still produced fine. I think the same output as Nani, right about there. He came when it mattered most, and he was always running and working hard for the team, which I love that. Pedro Neto deserves a lot of praise, I think, this season. Does he still leave a little bit wanting in the regards of output with goals and assists? Yes. Hopefully that can be better next year, but it's also a huge step that he was just healthy the whole year. Huge stuff. So anyway, that's actually our whole forward group. I'm not putting anybody in player of the season because I don't think anybody deserves to be there for candidacy. But let's go through the rest of it. So nobody's in player of the season. In solid, we have Mark Gue, mainly because of his pedigree and how he lived up to that as a young player. And it's just his commitment to the game. Similar to Pedro Neto, his commitment to the team, his willingness to run, to work, and contribute in times where it mattered the most. They're both in solid. In okay, we have Nani Madueke, who, again, you could argue solid, but I'm putting him in okay. And Nico Jackson. Nico Jackson, again, bordering bad for me, not because output, but because of his lack of maturity and the lack of progression. And then in the bad category, we have Mudryk. I, again, hope he's innocent. I'm not trying to say he for sure isn't, but it's a bad season. How can you say it's not a bad season? And then Nkunku, of course, is bad. And then in the players that are not getting a grade, Lukaku, of course, Sterling, Broya, and Datro Fofana. All right, so that's our grade list, guys. That is our tier. Let's go ahead and hop back over and decide who our player of the season is. Okay, guys, so that comes to the end of our video and the end of this little short addition to our summer series of this 24-25 squad review. And our 3 players that are candidates for player of the season, I'm going to pop them up here right next to me. We have Mark Cucurella, we have Cole Palmer, and we have Moises Caicedo. So the question is, who do you guys think deserves to be player of the season out of these 3? Or do you think it should be somebody else? These are the 3 I'm putting forth. And I'm going to eliminate the one I know I'm not going to give the award to. And that is the player that I think has the highest ceiling of any player at Chelsea Football Club, and that's Cole Palmer. I'm eliminating him from the candidacy, not as a dig. Of course, he's still one of the best 3 players for Chelsea this year. I just think he wasn't as good this year as the other 2. So we have Mark Cucurella and we have Moises Caicedo left. And hear me out. We've already talked about both of them, so I don't need to talk about them again. But what I'm thinking of with player of the season, I'm thinking about what would have happened if one or the other of these were not available. I think a lot of things fall apart if Cucurella is gone and if Caicedo is gone. I think that's not really an easy barometer for taking that away. But for me, I'm going to make it Mark Cucurella, actually. He is the winner of the 2025 Chelsea Player of the Season Award for Blues Nation Football Channel. And the reason for that, guys, is because he was locked down the entire year on the left side, which has so many of the Premier League's most dangerous players, again, including Bukayo Saka and Mohamed Salah. And in addition to this, his 5 goals that he scored this year, again, like I said, were tied for most goals by defender this year. And also, again, they came at pivotal moments. Like that game, it was the Man United game, guys. If he doesn't score that goal, our season is completely different, likely. Completely different. And I think I'm like 99% sure it was the Man United game, not the Forest game. He is the player of the season for me, guys. And I don't have regretted about that. I love Moises, and I would have put either of them. It was kind of 50-50 for me. But I'm saying Cucurella because as I'm sitting here, I think the lack of being able to shut down some of the players, because who did we have at left back behind him? I don't know. Maybe Malo Augusto, who's playing out of position and didn't play well in his own position. And he scored such pivotal goals for us. So that is my player of the season. That is our squad review done and dusted. Coming up, we're going to do some reviews of players and transfers we're going to be hoping for. Super excited about that. And we're going to be looking forward to doing that, guys. But before I sign off, as I promised in our first part, we're going to I'm just going to say really quickly, who are the 3 players, one recommendation for each position group that I would love to see, starting with the goalkeeping position group. It's between Petrovic and Mike Mignon for me. And for me, what I'm going to say is there's an opportunity to sign a world-class top 5, maybe top 3 goalkeeper in the world for around 20 million euros, maybe 30. That is about how much we spent on Jorgensen. Get Magic Mike Mignon. Absolutely. That's the goalkeeping and defensive group. That, if we had to make one, it would be him. Lock down the sticks. And then the midfield group, I'm not signing anybody. And I talked about this in one of my recent videos. Go check it out. It was in my Andre Santos and João Neves video. Andre Santos is better than a signing for me. He is an elite young talent, player, team of the season member for Ligue 1. That's all we need midfield. And then the forward group. If we got one player that we signed, we already signed Delap, so I can't say that. I am going to say Jamie Gittins. And the reason I'm saying that is because I think he's such a dangerous winger that has really high upside in the goal scoring department, which we need more of that. So that's the 3 players I recommend for our position groups to strengthen the squad going to next year. We have Mike Mignon as a goalkeeper in the goalkeeping defensive group. We have Andre Santos, who's already coming in. We have Jamie Gittins on the wing because we've already signed Delap. Are there any other players you guys would like to see? We'll be looking forward to that, reacting to stories as we move on through the summer, but I'd love to hear your thoughts. So if you haven't yet, go ahead, like this video. It's huge and helpful to me, and subscribe. It's a young channel. I'm looking forward to building this community more, so go ahead and do that. But apart from that, guys, up the Blues, and let's look forward to the Club World Cup and continue to enjoy these games that we're in the midst of.